Jazzcast Pros.
Hello and welcome back to High Vibe Table Talks. I am your host, Marshawn Hargrave. And if you have met me for like 10 minutes, you know that something that I am really passionate about is my garden. I love growing things. I think there is a big connection between growing a garden and growing a business. I think there are so many lessons and metaphors that we can pull from when we are thinking about growing our garden and thinking about growing our business. And this time of year is my favorite. Yesterday, we spent some time. It's actually been really nice out here the past few days in upstate New York. Yesterday, we grilled out. We walked around the property. We got to start to clean some things off. Found lots of treasures that our daughter and dog have brought outside throughout the winter now that all the snow is melted. And we actually saw our first pop of new life, which was snowdrops. They're these little white flowers that pop up. They're the first sign of spring. So we found some of those yesterday. And it's just my favorite time of year. And I wanted to, I've talked about this before, but every year I think it's a good reminder about the time of year it is and what it means for us as business owners.
Welcome to High Vibe Table Talks, the podcast to help you, the current or aspiring solopreneur, navigate the messy middle so you can make both an income and an impact. Hi, I'm Rashawn, and I love creating safe spaces for women to be courageous in their dreams.
And so what I want to discuss today is what it means being in spring for your business and living in and embracing this season. One of my favorite things that I do around this time of year is I plan out my garden. So what does it look like? And so in business, that can be planning something new, creating something new. It's kind of that ideation phase. And that can get really, really exciting. That I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of big dreamers, that can be the most exciting part. I like to get my seed catalogs out. And I plan the layout and I make sure that I have all the seeds that I want. And I like a really aesthetically beautiful type of garden. So I have tomatoes that are every color. I have spicy peppers, sweet peppers, 8 different types of cucumbers, and imagining kind of the end result and where I will be in the August garden is so exciting. And in entrepreneurship, it can be the same thing. Like you have this idea, this download that comes of this new offer, this new content that you want to create, this new course you want to build, this new community you want to start. Maybe it's a book you want to write. And these are all the very small seeds that you have initially. Like I think about it so crazy. I hold like 5 or 10 seeds in my hand and they fit in the palm of my hand. And the amount of vegetables that is going to produce, the way that my countertop is going to be full in August because of these little seeds, it just gives me goosebumps. And like to some people, you're like, okay, it's a little crazy. But I think that for you, the audience that's listening, like you get it. Like you have felt the seeds in your heart of this new thing you want to create. And you can see the impact and ripple effects that it's going to have later down the line. And that is what the seeds contain, is your future vision and how abundant that vision really is. And it's just starting as these little seeds on your heart. That being said, there are friction parts of this. They start as seeds in your heart. And then you think about, well, that's like months from now or years from now, or there's going to be failure. Or you think about all the hard parts that are going to happen between the March gardener and the August gardener, or the ideation entrepreneur versus the full service entrepreneur that has systems up and built and can go on vacation. And the messy middle is a lot what I talk about, but sometimes I think that we never plant the seeds because we're not sure what the messy middle is really going to entail. I don't I'm starting my peppers and tomatoes this weekend. I'm not going to plant them and then hope that this time next week, I'm going to have, fresh salsa. I don't do one cold call today and expect a sale on Friday. A lot of where the faith is really built is trusting the process. And my favorite ABC, action builds confidence. It's not always about the outcome, getting the exact outcome that you want every single time you do it, but the faith and trust in yourself that you will plant the seeds, that you will remember to water those seeds, you will weed your garden, you will show up to your garden, show up to your business every single day. That is where your faith as an entrepreneur is built. It's living in the messy middle, but there will never be a messy middle if you don't plant those seeds. And so this time of year, it really is a remembrance of, in order to get to the end, you have to start. And if you feel that like flutter and excitement, that terror-citement that I talk about, I've grown a lot of gardens. I started my first garden back, I think my daughter was 2, so this is 8 years ago. My friend, for my birthday, maybe she was 1, it doesn't matter. She got me a garden for a raised bed for my birthday. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's try it out. And I didn't grow anything by seed at that point. I went, because at that point it was May. So I went and I got starts from Lowe's, and it ended up being like my reprieve, my refuge at the end of the day. Like would put our daughter down for bed. It was still nice out. I was enjoying that time. We actually had a very wet summer, which ended up working out because there are some summers that are so dry, and so you have to put in a lot more work. That one kind of pulled me in. It's like the universe is like, you will be a gardener, so you're going to have an easy first year where things are just going to thrive without a lot of your intervention. And the joy that I found in showing up to my garden every single day was immeasurable. And then, my ADHD hyperfixation set in, and I was like, okay, what if I built a bigger one? What if I did start from seed? What if, and all of these new ideas, as I started to educate myself on what it looked like, started to percolate. And I kind of fell into the same, not trap, I don't want to call it a trap, but I fell into that same rhythm when it came to entrepreneurship. I was in sales and I was having to make cold calls and I wasn't showing up the way that I wanted. And I was talking with a friend who I'd networked with, and we were just kind of talking. I said, what if I created, if I'm struggling with this, I'm sure other people are too. And what if I created a space for myself to show up on Mondays and show up on Fridays, Monday kind of being that ideation of what am I going to accomplish this week? And then Friday being that, what did I accomplish and what lessons can I take from this week? Kind of that sprint type of version of March gardener versus August gardener, ideation entrepreneur versus full service entrepreneur, and just kind of like a shortened version of that. And it was effective, and people showed up and people enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, what if I did more of this? What if I could create a business around this? And, here we are, holy smokes. It was September, October of 2020. So we're 5.5 years in after that. And it's crazy that highs and lows that have been that, and all the lessons that I've learned along the way. But if I had never planted that seed of, let me just see what I can do with creating this accountability space, I would never be here. And, did I know that this is what it was going to be? Absolutely not. Of course not. When you plant a seed that says this is a beefsteak tomato seed, for the most part that you're going to get a beefsteak tomato. Do you know how many, how big? No. What bumps you're going to run into along the way? Of course not. But you have an idea. And that's one of the beautiful things about entrepreneurship, though, is it can really take any type of path and you can allow it to take any type of path. Like, you are the designer of your own garden. You are the designer of your own business. You are the designer of your life. And so planting those seeds gets you closer to leading the life that you want to live. What I want you, the listener, to take out of this conversation is, what have been tiny little blips of seeds on your heart that you haven't taken action on, that you haven't planted? And ask yourself, why haven't I started those? Why haven't I tried those? What is holding me back from planting that seed and watering it and nurturing it and taking steps forward towards the messy middle? Because at the end of the day, if I want that August garden, if I want those full countertops, if I want to be breaking bread with friends and family over a from scratch meal in August, I have to start those seeds today. I have to start taking one step, one brave action today so that I can have that end product. And my garden is probably going to look different than I plan on it today, but it just starts with one seed. Plant it, water it, trust the season that you're in, trust the download that you hear from the universe saying, this is your path. This is what excites you, lights you up, and the universe is there to have your back and teach you lessons along the way. But action breeds clarity, and it starts with brave actions today. I hope that was helpful. I really I could talk about that sort of stuff, whether it's gardening or ideation or all of those things all the time, which is why I'm here every week on the High Vibe Table Talks podcast. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a review on Spotify. Would be amazing. That does more for me than you'll ever know. And until next time, remember that big dreams and small steps will transform your life.